Sanitation preventive controls. In this case, when you have a hazard like, say, Listeria is likely to infect your product, or Salmonella, you might want a sanitation control, especially if you have a RTE, which is ready to eat product, that's exposed to the environment after a kill step, but before packaging. So an EG food company, they have that, right? So they cook the omelet, but it's exposed to the environment before it gets wrapped up. That's why they have a sanitation preventive control. So some common businesses that will have sanitation preventive controls are things like hummus producers. Hummus is a pretty great growth medium for microbes in general, and Listeria definitely can be a contamination potential for that, or Salmonella. And one of the ways that we prevent issues with contamination from the environment, whether by microbes or by allergens, is through an environmental monitoring program. So we'll go through and we will actively look for microbes in our environment. So what's living in, on, and around us in our production facility? So we'll swab different areas. We'll swab the GMP areas, swab the hallways, swab the offices, swab the machinery, swab the food contact surfaces. And you're searching for indicator organisms. So it's not the pathogen, but it's like the pathogen. So you're swabbing for Salmonella, but not pathogenic Salmonella. And that's because growing pathogenic Salmonella in the lab, not the greatest idea. But once you know you found Salmonella, you can go do further testing to see what specific kind of Salmonella you have. And that way you know if you're developing any problem areas and if you need to do any stricter cleaning protocols or change your cleaning protocols. The other part is for allergens. We want to avoid that allergen cross-contact as much as possible, and if we're actively swabbing and looking for those allergens, we're more likely to be able to prevent issues before they become a problem for the public. So we're looking at how clean are our food contact surfaces, how do we prevent allergen cross-contact, and just like our other preventive controls, our sanitation preventive controls, we have to do the monitoring activities, we have to do our corrections, and we have to do verification activities. So looking at the form for EG Food Company, when they did their hazard analysis, they identified the sanitation control to prevent recontamination from environmental pathogens at the assemble wrap station. So that's their sanitation control. Then their other one is an allergen and a sanitation preventive control, where they're preventing cross-contact from that wheat biscuit. This is an example of EG Food Company's hygienic zoning map. So when I have an environmental monitoring program, I'll designate different zones based on what risk they are. And if you'll notice, that red area, that's the primary pathogen control area. So that's where they've already exited that cook step, right? They finished cooking the omelet, but it's not packaged yet. And so it's exposed to the environment. That's where you're most likely to accidentally end up with Salmonella or Listeria or something on it. So the next zone we have is the general GMP area. Those are the ones in white. So cook area, refrigerated storage, mixed room, frozen storage, and so on. Then they have transition areas. Those are hallways, so pathways to bring in microbes or allergens. And then non-manufacturing areas, so lab, offices, entry areas, that's your general public areas. For your next exercise, you're going to look at your example facility, whichever one you chose, and say, would I use wet cleaning or would I use dry cleaning? And the difference is, well, is there liquid involved, right? Is there water involved? Dry cleaning would be like, I run this conveyor belt until it shakes everything off and it's loose and it's clean. Or I sweep it off, or I just take a dry paper towel and wipe something off. A wet clean, you're going to be using cleansers, water, sanitizer. The reason you might choose these different cleaning practices, if my product is dry, bringing water in to clean might actually cause an additional issue. It might cause more growth. So maybe I just want to do dry cleaning. Maybe I sanitize with alcohol, right? If my product's wet, of course, I'm going to use a wet clean. So for your model facility, is zoning appropriate? Right, just like we looked at e.g. food company zoning map, would you zone based on maybe environmental hazards or on allergen issues? And if you would zone, how would you go about doing it? Where would your different zones be?